Alright, welcome everybody. So I'm down in the dungeon today. So there's going to be a lot of background noise and the lighting's not going to be as good. But I wanted to take this thing apart. I didn't want to take it apart upstairs. So this is a Wacker BTS 11 concrete saw. As you can see right here by the name tag. And these are really industrial based, not for your home user type concrete saws. I don't even think you can buy this unless you're like a dealer. I picked this up off eBay. I don't remember how much I paid for it, but I think it was less than $50. And that was shipped because it was marked as being not working. And if you saw a couple of videos from several months back, I took it outside and tried to start it. One video, couldn't get it started. Got some tips from you guys. There's a trick you got to do with the trigger to actually get it started, and we actually got it to run. So I'm not going to do a full engine rebuild on this or anything like that. Basically just going to take everything apart and clean it, check it out, make sure it's all working. And then we'll pop a blade in there at some point and try to cut some concrete. So it looks like the only thing holding this guard on there is this big circlip. Let's try these ones. Oh, yeah, no problem. So there was a wing nut on the other side of this that I took off already. And that went through this hole right here on the other side. So I always find taking apart these things is always interesting. So it has some kind of beveled washer on it. Got a 5.6 stamped on this special bolt. So we'll go ahead and take these two bolts out right here. One of them is different. So I didn't even see that before, made in West Germany, so it dates this thing probably to the 80s. So the belt there looks to be in pretty decent condition. I got the belt out. And it looks alright. I don't know if that needs to be replaced or not. It's got a little bit of cracking. Very minor, but all the teeth look okay on it. I'm sure there's some kind of bearing under here. But it looks like you need a special tool here to hold these. A spanner, a pin wrench spanner. Because I would like to check out that bearing, make sure it's okay. And then this little piece of paper. Not sure what this is. It was on this surface right here. If anybody knows what that's for, I'm drawing a blank. So let's go ahead and take a couple of these guards off. Alright, so check this out. All these parts made in Germany. Looks like pretty much everything in here was made in Germany. And there's our spring. Alright, so we're back onto this. I noticed on here, there's like a little piece taken out of that. So I guess the correct tool to take this off is one of those caliper type wrenches. And then take the pin off. One thing I did notice is it looks like down in one of these holes there's a little cutout. You can see it right there. So it must be for putting a pin in there so you can hold it in place. So I think what I'm going to try, I'm going to use this T-slot bolt in that little indentation. Let's see if we can break it loose. Alright. That thing was really on there. So I think if we just hit it with a hammer a couple of times, should loosen it up. Alright, so I got it off, but then I noticed that there's a little bit of a crack here in this. I didn't notice that before. Now this was on the bottom side, so hitting the hammer up here shouldn't have caused that. But you see all these marks here. It's like somebody had a screwdriver and was trying to pry it up at one time. So I'm not sure if that is a repairable. It's definitely cracked and bent. So I never did have a blade on this. So if this was cracked and it was unbalanced, I would have never saw it really. So maybe that was the issue with this thing. Because like I said, it was advertised as not working. So it looks like that piece is pretty much ready to fall out of there. So I don't know about this one. This one might be beyond economical repair. Because I'm pretty sure I didn't do that by banging on the top just to kind of loosen it up. So if any of you guys have any advice for that one, I don't think I can just run it without that, because this thing would be a little bit unbalanced. But we'll see if we can actually get a replacement first. Well, that surface, what would cause that to be that red? You see that? So that all looks to be one piece there with a key in there. The key seems to be fused in there. So on the other side here, it looks like we got some kind of seal. See if we can get that out without damaging it. But it doesn't look like that's in too good a condition, does it? So it looks like there's an O-ring right here that's in pieces. But this bearing seal looks like it might be okay. I'll have to clean that up, but this O-ring is definitely destroyed. And it looks like we got a circlip over there. So check out that. I don't know if you guys can see that, but look at that inner surface there. There's a big gouge right there. And that's where that bearing seal is. So I don't know what happened there. It looks like this has been worked on at some point. So that one bearing is not in great condition. Got a lot of play in there. So this thing has seen a lot of hours on it. It looks like we got some kind of bushing or sleeve under that. And we have another circlip in there. It doesn't seem to be holding back anything. I think that was just to sandwich that bearing in. Yeah, I think that's what that one was for. Now, this bearing is in between a size that's in between these two extractors. It's kind of odd. So I don't have the right tools to get that bearing out. I'm going to have to press it out with a hydraulic press probably. So yeah, I don't see any other way of getting that out. And it definitely needs to be replaced. It's got a lot of play in it. It's a little bit scratchy too. So that's the only piece left on this. So we'll have to do that off camera somewhere. So it looks like this stand is just held in by a couple more Torx screws in there. Hey, it's a long ass screw for just that one stand. So it looks like that the reason these screws were so long is to hold in, they're also used for the handle here. Looks like we got the remnants of a warning label or something. It says ready for rental. This equipment has been checked for safe and proper operation before leaving our shop. Right after servicing it. And then we got a couple more Torx screws over here for the rest of the handle. So yeah, that thing could use a little cleaning. So I think we're ready to get into the air filter. So one thing I noticed, I do have the part schematic. I noticed a couple differences here. These screws right here, which were really loose, they're not supposed to be hex head. Like they are now, they're supposed to be Torx screws. And that's why they're so hard to tighten, because you can see there's almost no, you can't get in there with a regular socket. You almost have to tighten them with a pair of pliers almost. So yeah, we'll have to get replacements for that. The other thing I noticed, this top thing is supposed to be a wing nut, and it's just a regular nut. So that has been replaced. I guess it got lost at some point. So we got a big O-ring in there. And then you got the plastic cover. Alright, so let's take a look at how dirty this air filter is. Because I'm pretty sure they would probably have not replaced this since it was built. So that's not too horrible. Pre-filter here. Looks like it's starting to disintegrate. So we'll have to get a new one of those. And luckily there's actually a part number on here. Hopefully I can cross-reference that. So what's that say? Made in Austria. I guess the brand is called MAHLE. I don't know if I've ever heard of that one. Boy, that's a pretty heavy-duty air filter. Normally they don't come with the perforated metal. And we got another filter inside of that. And there's even another gasket down here, which is all smushed up. And then there's actually an O-ring, another O-ring on there as well. So those O-rings look okay. I think we'll be able to reuse those. So we can pull the spark plug boot off. So that all looks okay. We'll go ahead and just leave that in there for now. That's kind of odd how you have a Phillips on this one. The rest of them are Torx. I do like how they assembled this with almost all entirely Torx screws of the same size, so you really only need a couple of tools here to service this guy. Even though they're actually different screw sizes, they're using the same T40 drive for all these screws. There's your trigger. Looks like it's seen better days, but still working. The spring there looks a little bit messed up. I'll take a look at that. It's a piece of a zip tie down in there. It's kind of strange. Alright, so I turn this over. And one thing I noticed down here, there's a couple of big holes in the casing here where somebody, it looks like, dropped it. Now, I thought that was all part of the tank, the fuel tank. And when we tested it out, we didn't put barely any gas in it, so we'll have to make sure that that's not leaking, because that's going to be a big problem if that's part of the fuel tank there. So we still got a couple more screws in here. You got this big piece of foam here. I guess that's just for some sound vibration dampening. But I think that's as far as I'm gonna take the engine off, at least for now. What I might do is I might take the muffler off and then check out these springs, make sure they're okay. Looks like one of them's a little bit looser than the other. And then try to get it all clean, get this carb cleaned out. But I'm not gonna, I don't think there's any reason to actually take the piston out, because we know it has compression. So I think we're good there. But this gas tank is another story. I don't know what all this black stuff is. Is that just mud or something? You can hear the fuel. I think that's the fuel filter that's rolling around in there. So we'll have to take that off sometime else and maybe fill the gas tank up. Make sure there's no leaks or anything. A big concern. I'm going to try to do some research and see if there's maybe a direct replacement for that before really continuing on. Otherwise, I might repurpose this guy for something other than being a concrete saw, because we got a pretty beefy, good engine here that we know runs at least somewhat well. All right, guys, well, I think that's it for this one. Hopefully you guys enjoy that, and I'll catch you guys next time.